So, after the absolute dog's dinner disaster area, which was the peace meeting the other day with Trump in the White House and President Zelensky, as expected, Ukrainians are now talking about the revolving door. Who's going to come after Zelensky since he has messed up so badly? He has put Ukrainian lives directly at risk and has drawn out the war, despite claiming that the end of the war was his goal, which is kind of weird actually, because he gave a speech 3 years ago and he said, "I will never rest until Russia is invaded by Ukraine." That was his speech 3 years ago, which he gave in Turkey in front of now President Erdogan. And he managed to rustle up a suit for that meeting. So it's kind of interesting how he couldn't find a suit for the American meeting and didn't want to remember his previous pledges to the Ukrainian people to constantly be at war with Putin and Russia. Now, people forget these things. In fact, I'd go as far as saying his character on TV, he was in a TV show where he played the part of a fake president who became a real president. This is true. You can see this on his shows on Netflix. His TV character president was actually better than he is as a real president. So who is he going to be replaced by? That's what Ukrainians are currently talking about. And the person that they have nominated is Vitaly Klitschko. So I don't know this guy that well. I know his boxing career. He's a pretty good boxer. But Vitaly Klitschko, is he going to be a better politician? Well, anyone would be better than Zelensky. But is he going to be a good politician? Is he going to be a good president for Ukraine? The jury is out. He doesn't have a TV show. He just has like 50 boxing matches or something like that, which he did very well in. But my point is, how can Ukraine make any progress as a country when it constantly upsets the allies that it stands on the shoulders of, when its president is clearly rude, obnoxious, and can't even put a suit on to speak to his biggest, strongest ally, considering 3 years ago he was shaking hands with our enemies and he was quite happy to wear a suit for that. And to top it all off, the best that the Ukrainian people themselves can come up with for his replacement is a 50-year-old retired pro boxer, Vitaly Klitschko. Is that the best you can do? Is that the best you can come out with for the guy who's going to lead your country through this war with Russia out into a prosperous, peaceful future? Vitaly Klitschko. Like I say, I don't really know that much about the guy past his boxing career. But it seems to me, considering what happened at the White House the other day as well, if you want to choose someone to be the president of your country, the first kind of bar that you want to reach is you want to have someone that's better than the last guy. Surely, it would make sense, wouldn't it? You want someone better than Zelensky since he's made such a complete disaster of his presidency. And he has made the war last longer than it should have done and caused the death, indirectly, of Ukrainian soldiers. But his biggest fall down, this is Zelensky guy, is the fact that he was never a politician. He had no experience in the political field. He didn't know anyone who you would need to know to be an effective politician. And when it came down to it, his entire career has been beset by allegations of corruption. Now he has demonstrated on a world stage that he cannot be trusted to keep his word. And he doesn't know how to show basic graces and respect to his allies. So then you think Vitaly Klitschko. What's his background? Well, his background is beating people up in a ring, not fighting his brother because he didn't want to fight him. But that's all we know about him. So how is he better than Zelensky? At this point, Ukrainians will be better off having an actual fair election. Not an election for president. That can come later down the road. I mean, let's have an election for a pool of politicians to then elect a leader from. Because at the moment, I'm not seeing a lot of good politicians at all in Ukraine. All I am seeing is the remnants of the Soviet era, and I am seeing corrupt candidates from failed elections in the past. And let's not forget, you had a president. In 2014, a president was elected, And he was elected by the people, and he was popular. But what happened? He got chased out. He went into exile, and that was the end of his presidency. So by default, his presidency ended, and Zelensky got the nod. So in conclusion, I think we all need to be acutely aware here. Ukraine, although it puts up this nice shiny veneer of a perfectly normal country that is just having a bit of a war problem with Russia, that money and bullets sent in the mail will fix, there is far deeper, bigger problems for Ukraine than even the war with Russia. Because if the war with Russia ended today, the country is still in the maniacal clutches of this insane psychopath Zelensky and his presumably very corrupt cabinet. I mean, I'm not seeing anything from them that would suggest otherwise. Not only that, there is no pool of good, honest replacements to be chosen. So it's just going to be a revolving door of corrupt politician after corrupt politician, and they are going to stay in the pockets of people like Putin, whether they like it or not. Is this good for Europe? No. Is this good for the world? No. Is it good for Ukraine? Absolutely not. So we should be asking ourselves who it is good for. Who stands to benefit from an elongated, protracted war with Russia, upsetting Europe, and putting them at loggerheads with America while they have their strongest president in decades, and it looks like they're doing very well out of it, whilst also saying no to generous offers of ceasefires with money and saying no to working with American mining companies, who, if you watch my video the other day, you'll know those rare earth minerals that Ukraine have, the only possible people who were ever going to buy those is America, who they've just said they're not going to sell them to, or Russia. And Zelensky's the one holding the keys to those mines. They can't use them. They don't have any chip fabrication plants in Ukraine. It's a breadbasket. It's a food producing country. It doesn't have technology there. So we know, in conclusion, Zelensky is on the way out now, though he is clinging to dear life to the last remnants of his presidency. Even Ukrainian people are talking about who is going to replace him, with the goal of getting someone who is better than he has been. But like I say, we don't know who that's going to be. There doesn't seem to be anyone better than Vitaly Klitschko, who's not a politician either. And we should be asking ourselves, who stands to benefit by all this happening, all this corruption and mess and war, upsetting your allies? Who pockets the most money from these happenings? My immediate thought is Zelensky. My immediate thought is the rest of the WEF-puppeted panel of corrupt politicians from Europe, including Starmer, by the way, he's another communist traitor that we need to get rid of. So if these guys are benefiting from war, from allies being at loggerheads, from politics having no strong leaders available to vote, maybe they're the real problem that we should be at war with. Not nations, not ideologies. We need to realise these WEF puppets, these individuals, are working together to weaken the democracies of the world, to weaken the conditions of peace across the world. And in doing so, they open the door and invite in terrorist groups like Islamic Hamas, Communist China, and Communist Russia. And at the end of the day, that will be no good for any of us. So let's try and think clearly who the real enemy is here and what our part will be in that eventual conflict to bring them down and return ourselves to peace and safety and a regular, normal democracy that works. So that's the end of this video. Hope you enjoyed that and you learned something. God bless you all. And I'll see you lovely people in the next one. Bye now. Honestly, Vitaly Klitschko. And when you think about it, doesn't Vitaly Klitschko have a medal given to him by Vladimir Putin himself? Isn't he a personal friend of Putin's? The plot thickens, but that's all for another video. God bless you all, and I'll see you next time.